Big Ange Postecoglou has made one of the most surprising and some might say downright bizarre decisions when it comes to the squad he's taken to Hungary for tonight's group game against Ferencvaros. Meanwhile, I'll take you through my predicted team for the big game and some news on the real numbers that Spurs are starting to have to pay for Swedish midfield starlet Lucas Bergvall. All this and more on today's episode of the Spurred On podcast. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Please do press that like button. Please do press subscribe as well. Should be in the bottom right hand corner for daily Tottenham content. And often I'll bring you some Premier League transfer news and news from other clubs as well. You can also listen on the podcast platforms. Go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and type in the Spurred On podcast and you can find me there. Meanwhile, just before I get started, please do remember I'm doing a live watch along on this channel for the Ferencvaros game tonight, starting at 5:40 p.m. for a 5:45 kickoff. So come here and get in the chat with me during the game. We'll watch it together and hopefully it'll be another big Spurs win to make it 5 on the trot. So some squad news obviously came out yesterday. Both Destiny Udogie and Son-Heung have not travelled to Hungary for this game. Postecoglou says they're both back in London working away at building back up their fitness, but they will not feature in tonight's game as a result. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Let's say, for instance, that Sonny and Destiny are kind of close. Is this a game that you think it's right Ange doesn't risk them for? Basically, what I'm saying is the Brighton game more important? Even though we know we want to win the Europa League, it's huge for us. But actually, is the Premier League still the most important thing to you as a fan? For me, I wouldn't risk Sonny or Destiny in this game. I'd take the chance to use the youngsters, even though we're a little bit bare bones in terms of defenders, that's for sure. But I don't know, you may feel differently, so let me know. Also, the reason I talked at the top about there being some bizarre decisions is that Sergio Reguilon has travelled with the squad, and it caused a big furore amongst the Spurs fans when they saw him going up the steps to the plane yesterday morning. And people were speculating whether it was possible that we've added him to the squad because Odebear's injured. But actually, no. Big Ange Postecoglou said yesterday that he has been brought in order to help keep the levels of training up. With a few first-team players currently sidelined through injury, Ange has brought Reguilon and a lot of youngsters to help with the levels of training in the sessions before the match in Hungary. Now, if you are Sergio Reguilon, are you not kind of slightly like, what is my role at this club now? Literally almost like a training cone. It's a little bit embarrassing, but maybe Ange and the club is just saying to him, look, you had offers on the table to leave in the transfer window and you chose not to, and now you are contracted to this club and you have to do what you're told. But it's a bit of a difficult one for Reguilon. To be fair to him, from everything I've seen on social media, he always still looks like a happy-go-lucky guy and doesn't seem to be throwing his toys out of the pram. So let's see what happens there. But a bit bleak for Reguilon's career, I'd say. I think in January he really has to take any opportunity he has to leave the club and find somewhere to play. He can do a good job somewhere. Like, he did well at Brentford on loan. He did well at Manchester United on loan. So the opportunities are there for him to, have a career again. But all the reports coming out during the summer were that he wanted a club in the Champions League. And I think, frankly, Sergio, that is a little bit beyond you. Ange Postecoglou added that a few youngsters who travelled with the team, also featured for the under-21s a couple of nights ago, and that's why they're there to fulfil a similar training help purpose. He mentions it's unrealistic to expect them to be involved tomorrow, having just played a game recently. However, note that not playing in that under-21s game were Mikey Moore, Alfie Dorrington and Will Lancashire. They did not feature against Dagenham and Redbridge a couple of nights ago. So, realistically, I think they will be in the squad tonight. And maybe, just maybe, this could be the first start for Mikey Moore. Let me know in the comments if you think he should be starting on the left. Or is it more realistic that he'll start with Timo Werner after his good performance the other night, where he did also miss a number of one-on-ones? Interestingly, the Ferencvaros manager, Pascal Jansen, he grew up in London and he gave some quotes during the press conference about that. He said, "Tottenham were one of my favourite sides. I liked them because they played in white." Well done, Pascal Jansen. I'm glad you like the correct team in London. However, let's hope tonight that we can put you to the sword. Should say, it's not going to be any kind of rollover tonight. Ferencvaros have invested a little bit of money in the last year or two, and they are an improving side, that's for sure. So if you expect Spurs to go out to Hungary and roll them over, don't be so sure, because also it'll be a huge match for the Hungarian crowd, for the Ferencvaros supporters. They'll really make a din. And look, as Bayern Munich showed last night at Aston Villa, there are no easy games. When you go away to a club and it's their biggest game for a long time, there are just no easy games. Here is my predicted lineup for tonight's game. Let me know in the comments what your predicted team is. Actually, just let me know the team that you want Ange to pick, not your predicted team, because they're probably quite different, because obviously Ange has to take into account the fact that the Brighton game is only 2.5 days after Spurs will be landing back in London after this game. So and also Ange and the coaching team, they're more aware of the kind of different fitness levels of the team and the squad at the moment. But I think he's going to go with this: Vicario, Porro, Romero, Gray, then Dave and Davis. So that'll be Porro, Romero, Davis, Gray in the middle and Davis on the left, Bissouma, Sarr and Bergvall in central midfield. And then Werner, Moore and Solanke, potentially with Werner or Moore playing on the right. I would suggest maybe Mikey Moore maybe on the right and Werner on the left. I don't know, actually, that, to be honest, it's quite a big one, isn't it? Do you keep Werner on the left where he is naturally more comfortable, and just think because Mikey Moore is such a talent, he'll be able to play on the right? He did play on the right in some of those pre-season games, didn't he? And he's such a strong utility player, he can play anywhere across that front line. Or would you say to Werner, you switch over, and Mikey Moore, you play on the left and drive in onto your favoured right foot, as he did, nearly scoring that absolute banger at the end of the game against Manchester United. My God, that was a moment in time. If that had gone in, I just think I was basically screaming and waiting for the net to bulge, as it was. In terms of score predictions, as I said, I think it'll be a tough game. I'm going to go with 2-2. I think there'll be goals in it, but I think with the kind of mixing and matching of the squad, it might be a little much for us to get a result. But also, don't forget, I did predict that Man United would beat Spurs 3-1 at the weekend, and as a result, and shows how much I know ball, we won 3-0. So here's hoping I get it completely wrong, and it's not 2-2, and actually Spurs cash in and score a few goals and get an easy win. Ange Postecoglou this week gave some quotes on Dominic Solanke. He said this: "I was really confident that with the way we play and his attributes, that he was going to be a great fit. I could see that from the first day of training, but we had to be patient. He's getting up there now in terms of physical fitness. I think every game he looks like he's getting stronger. It's a demanding role up front for us. It's not just about goals, it's about his link-up play and pressing. We've put a fair amount of workload on him, even though he's missed a couple of games. I can see he's getting strong. Obviously the goals help. He's a striker. He wants to score goals, and that helps him to feel better about the beginning of his career here. I think he's already made a big impact at our football club, but I'm even more excited about what's ahead and the potential that both we have as a team and he has as an individual." Well, look, I completely agree with that. I've been very, very impressed, even from the first game against Leicester when he got a knock after 10 minutes, but he kept getting himself into the right positions. He kept making himself chances, and his hold-up play and his link-up play, as Ange Postecoglou says, really amazing. And that is even before I mentioned the pressing, in which he is absolutely relentless and drives us forward from the very front. At the moment, that 60 million for me is looking like a steal, but if you feel differently, get in the comments and let me know. There was a lot of stick flying around at the club and Dom Solanke in the summer about that being too much money and him not being worth that. So let me know if you still feel that way or not. I think it's going to turn out to be a brilliant, brilliant signing. And also, once Richarlison is fully fit, and it looks like he's getting closer at the moment, he's doing training on his own. He posted an Instagram post yesterday with the music on it. The song on it was called Lonely, because he's on his own training. But once he's fit, it'll enable us to bring Richarlison on after about 65 minutes and keep that press going, and also offer a big threat in the air, where I think Richarlison does some of his best work. And also, Richarlison can also play on that left-sided forward role. Don't forget that brilliant assist he gave to Sonny from left-sided forward against Liverpool at home last season. So our squad is a lot fuller, has a lot more depth to it this season. And I just want this run to continue tonight. If we can make it 5 tonight in a row, and then maybe 6 going into the international break by beating Brighton on Sunday, that'd be very exciting. James Maddison was asked about Mikey Moore in a press conference. He said this: "I have to sometimes pinch myself and remember how young Mikey is. He's 17 and came into the group when he was 16. He is a man already. When I watch him play, he's very powerful and is only going to get stronger as his body grows. He's a great kid, a really well-mannered, polite young man, and that is a credit to his parents. That's the first thing you look to as a senior player. And then there's that ability which we see in training all the time and the Spurs fans want to see more of. I tried to think of what the 17-year-old James Maddison would want to hear from a senior player, and it's to be treated like a man, but also given advice wherever possible." I love that from Madders. Madders showing a maturity there that you don't often think about when it comes to James Maddison. But he's 27, coming up to 28 now, and I think he's at the right club, Madders. And the way that he talks about basically a young version of himself in Mikey Moore, he doesn't see him as any kind of threat. He sees him as someone he wants to help. He wants to improve his career by helping him, by giving him advice, and I love that about Madders. How have you felt about Maddison's start to the season so far? Let me know in the comments. I think it's been really impressive, up there with his start in the first 10 games of last season, and the key to this with Madders will be, can we keep him fit? That will be the absolute key. Can we keep Madders fit for the whole season? Because if we do, especially with this relationship that he's building up with Dejan Kulusevski in central midfield, if we can keep him fit, then Tottenham can definitely go on to have an amazing season. Meanwhile, a bit of a stat here. Mickey van der Ven is responsible for 3 of the 10 fastest sprints recorded by a player in the Premier League since the 2020-21 season. He's the only player to feature in the Premier League in that time frame to record multiple sprint speeds that rank in the top 10. I mean, I don't want to sound negative here, but my immediate thinking is, I'm worried about his hamstrings. Mickey, keep your hamstrings safe. Only put on the turbochargers, the afterburners, when it's really, really necessary. But then, was it necessary for him to run 90 yards up the pitch and set up Brennan Johnson? Yes, okay, it was. So just keep the afterburners on, Mickey, and let's just hope that our new medical team can keep them safe. I'd have him in the ice baths all the time. I'd have his hamstrings in cotton wool. Everything. He's young, he's quick, he is an unbelievable player. Sign him up, 10-year contract. Do what Chelsea do, just get them on the 10-year contracts, and long may this successful young Spurs team continue. By which I mean, when I say successful, I think they're building towards success. I really think we can get there. Final bit of news now, I mentioned it in the opening. Lucas Bergvall's transfer to Spurs was for an initial fee of £8 million, apparently, with bonuses included that could raise the value of the deal all the way up to 16 million. The team that we bought him from, Djurgården in Sweden, are already in line to start receiving some of those bonuses, as it's believed that Bergvall's debut in the Premier League triggered a first payment of £2.5 million. Well, we haven't seen the best of Lucas Bergvall yet in the Premier League or in the Europa League. He was unlucky in the last game against Karabag, wasn't he, because he had to get taken off after the sending off to Radu Dragusin, but I'm confident we will, and I think he'll start tonight, and I think we'll see some good stuff. He tried a little bit too hard when he came on in the last few minutes against Manchester United, but you can understand that. He's an 18-year-old kid. He thinks he should be playing a bit more, and he wanted to prove at Old Trafford what he could do, but actually Ange was screaming at him a bit because he was just trying the little paradise balls when actually all he needed to do was play it easy. If he continues to just grow slowly and develop with the squad, and he will get the opportunities to play it easy and then get the return balls, and he will score goals and he will make assists. I'm really excited by what's going to come with Lucas Bergvall and Archie Gray, who I think we'll also see tonight, and maybe even, hopefully, Mikey Moore. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please do press that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't. You just click on the little illustrated picture of my face in the bottom right hand corner, and the subscribe button will come up. Press that for daily Spurs content and Premier League transfer news content, and also press the bell button in my homepage, and you will get a notification when I release the daily content. And you can become a member of my channel. Only £1 a month really helps me to make this daily content for you. All the ways how to become a member of either YouTube or Patreon is in the description box below. With the big Ferencvaros game tonight coming up, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day. And don't forget, watch along with me live on this channel, 5:40 this evening, to watch the Europa League game against Ferencvaros. Get in the chat and we'll watch the game together. Have a great rest of your day. Come on, you Spurs.